Hello and welcome to another edition of Community Tapestry. I'm Napoleon Bell and I'm the Executive Director with the City of Columbus Community Relations Commission. And to my left is Miss Toni Teague.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Good. It's good to be back.
It is great to be back, and it's great to be back in the summer. It's right
It's
around
on
the
its way,
corner.
but right now we've got April showers that might bring May flowers, we hope.
Yeah, well, it better, but I like to get past the April showers altogether, just right away, and get into the flowers and into the boating and all of that.
Well, after the winter we've had, I am not complaining.
Yeah.
It can rain all it wants to.
I hear you. Well, you know, we've got a great couple of guests here and a great topic that we're going to be speaking about, because this is a topic on the top of many persons' minds, especially if you heard about the issues in Colorado and in regards to legalization of marijuana there. But we're here to talk about medical marijuana.
Yeah.
Medical marijuana and the use of, and we understand that there's something coming up in regards to being able to use medical marijuana.
That you're going to want to vote on.
That you're going to want to vote on. So we have with us, and let's get right to our guests, we have Miss Mary Jane Borden. She's the Vice President and Secretary of the Ohio Rights Group. I'd like to welcome you to the program.
Thank you.
And then next to her, we have Leanne Barbee, who's the Outreach Captain of the Ohio Rights Group. I'd like to welcome you to the show.
Thank you.
Well, so glad to have you here, because this is a very important topic that people really tend to listen to and to perk up about, because you know, the issues around marijuana, whether it being legal or illegal, and the uses thereof, and is there really medical uses? So let's first of all talk about why is this issue of medical marijuana, and why is it so important?
Well, there's a lot of therapeutic value to the cannabis plant, and I think we're finding that out through both clinical studies and anecdotal personal accounts of people who have been really made well, or at least feel a whole lot better after having used cannabis for any number of ailments. And reacting to that really dire need that we hear from some people who have contacted us, we formed the Ohio Rights Group to field the Ohio Cannabis Rights Amendment.
Okay. Well, how does the Ohio Rights Group interface with the issues of medical marijuana? How does that happen?
Well, we composed and are fielding the Ohio Cannabis Rights Amendment, which we hope to put before the voters this fall of 2014. And that would allow the sick, dying, disabled in Ohio to make medical and therapeutic use of this plant for, I think, 30 different conditions, medical conditions. In addition, we also have a clause in the amendment that provides for the use of industrial hemp. And what that means is the one plant that's so many uses, probably 50,000 uses for this really remarkable plant. And that could be anywhere from car seats to foodstuffs to concrete. And so our amendment gives the provisions for use of medical, therapeutic, and what we call the industrial use of the cannabis plant. That does not right now exist in Ohio.
So why is there so much controversy around the medical use of marijuana then?
I think it's 40 to 70 years of propaganda, anti-cannabis propaganda. You can determine where it began, whether it's exit from the U.S. Pharmacopoeia in 1937 or with the Controlled Substances Act of 1970 that put these really dire constraints on this plant. It's called what's Schedule 1, meaning the government, I think we all think very erroneously, put it in the most restrictive schedule of this, like I say, Controlled Substances Act, which places it off use not only for medicinal use by the sick, dying, disabled, but also from any research into what its properties, its therapeutic properties might be. So those two things have been stymied, and it's, I think, time for we the people to stand up and say, take the handcuffs off of this plant, and let's allow us to make medical, therapeutic, and industrial use of it.
That makes really good sense. And I can see you speaking with such passion, and I think both of you have passion around the issue. So do you have some personal connection or a personal story that makes you so passionate about this?
I personally started in activism in high school. Right before California legalized medically, I was very interested in it. I compared it to the prohibition of alcohol and what it's done for the country negatively. And after writing that essay, I've pretty much followed along through the years. And when I found out the Ohio Rights Group was trying to legalize medicinally in Ohio, I was very interested because I am a patient. I have fibromyalgia. I have Crohn's disease. I have a number of different issues that medical marijuana could assist in. Taking 20 pills a day, sleeping 20 hours a day because of the side effects of the medication. I'm not able to live a life that way. So having the safe access to it in Ohio would be incredibly beneficial to me.
And have you considered moving out of Ohio to a state where marijuana has been legalized?
I have considered it, but it's not financially an option right now.
And we definitely like to keep you in Ohio. We'd like to keep you here. We'd like to retain our creative class, so that's important.
Well, I've lived in Ohio my entire life, and all of my family lives in Ohio, so it's important me to stay here as well.
So we don't want people to have this exodus from our state simply because they can't get the medical care that they need.
Right.
How about you?
In terms of my own personal
Connection
reasons for being here, I think they're twofold. I would classify myself as a patient as well, but to me, cannabis has become a civil rights issue. And I say that because the federal government, in order to suppress this plant, has enacted through statute all kinds of sanctions. Not only do we have, let's say, arrest of 13,000 people in Ohio in 2010, I think it was, for just the mere possession of cannabis. But once you arrest follows you. You can't get a job. Some people will lose their child custody. And I think the worst and most egregious cases, we're finding that transplant patients, if you're a candidate to have an organ transplant, if they test positive for cannabis, you will be denied a transplant. And further to that, if you are a pain patient, let's say such as Leanne is, and you test positive for cannabis, you can, in some cases, be denied lifetime access to those pain medications that really can be life-sustaining. So I think that rises this issue to a civil rights issue, and that's why we call it the Ohio Cannabis Rights Amendment.
Well, let me ask you this. You talk about some who need the medication. What are some of the diseases or disabilities that they're dealing with that would benefit from the use of medical marijuana?
Let me give you a personal example if I can.
Okay.
Okay, I have a condition called multiple cartilaginous exostosis. And it results in these tumors that grow on your bones. Okay, so there is a patient who has very much national prominence. His name is Irv Rosenfeld. And in the early 1980s, the program called the Compassionate IND was created because we started to see that cannabis was affecting AIDS patients. It was ameliorating some of the symptoms of HIV/AIDS. And so he was the very first person to join, well, second person, I should say, to a guy named Robert Randall. He was the second person to join this program in 1980. He continues to receive 300 cigarettes, marijuana cigarettes, rolled up in a tin about this big, every single month, free of charge for the federal government, for the very same condition that I have. Okay, so why does he get this and not me?
Right.
I mean, I think there's an inherent inequity there,
We also have some images that you sent in that also illustrates the point of what the Ohio Rights Group does.
So we'd like to go to those, or if we can get those queued up.
You want to explain those?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I do. There's Leanne and me up in the front row holding our banner. This is a event we held at a company called Apex Supercritical in January. And what Apex Supercritical does is they manufacture these machines that can extract the cannabis oils from the cannabis plant, from really quite a bit of it. Now, of course, they can't sell these machines here in Ohio, but they do sell very well in Colorado and elsewhere, where you can have enough plant product that you can extract the oils. And I say this because what we're finding is there are children with intractable epilepsy, one particular called Dravet syndrome, and it's been the subject of Dr. Sanjay Gupta's common programs. Recently, he did 2 of them. And this is a kind of machine that can be used to extract those oils from the cannabis plant and give them to these very, very sick children. And we saw, just I think yesterday, posted on our Facebook page the picture of Charlotte Figge, who was the little girl who was practically at death's door with Dravet syndrome. And they give her these cannabis oils, again, extracted from a machine that you saw there that was made by Apex Supercritical, and she's doing remarkably well. She's like any other 6-year-old. You know, this is remarkable stuff we're dealing with here, and that's why we've considered the Ohio Cannabis Rights Amendment so important, and we were hoping that voters will pass it in the fall, seeing that same importance as we do.
So if people want to get involved, how would they contact you? What's your email and what's your website?
My personal email address is mjborden@ohiorights.org, and our website is www.ohiorightsgroup, ohiorightsgroup.org. And if you want to find us on Facebook, Ohio Rights Group.
Well, let me go to you, Leanne. As an outreach captain, what all is involved in that type of work?
We gather our volunteers. We have over 2,000 volunteers throughout the state of Ohio, and it's growing every day. I place the new volunteers with the correct county captain. We have captains in about 80 of our counties right now, and we plan events, ones that are hosted by the Ohio Rights Group, and also just events that are throughout the state. And we go to those and we petition. We're asking people to sign the petition so that we have the right to vote on this in November. Signing the petition does not say that you want this or don't want it. We're just asking for the right to vote. And it's highly important. We have to have over 385,000 signatures by July in order to get this on the ballot this November. So the signature gathering phase is extremely important.
And that's 385,000 valid signatures. So you need to go through, you need about how many people to sign up in order to make those numbers work out?
We estimate about 600,000.
Okay. And so if you need a volunteer to come in, what would a person do if they wanted to be supportive of the Ohio Rights Group?
Volunteers can do a lot of stuff. The main thing that we need right now is people to get out on the streets, go to events with petitions in hand, and ask everybody they know to sign the petition. There's many other opportunities if you're not a people person and don't want to, go out and collect signatures. There's a lot of in-house things that can be done, databasing and things like that. So there's a lot of opportunities available.
Wow, and there's funding involved. That you also need funding because it sounds like it's not free to make this happen.
Oh, go ahead.
No, speaking to that, I think the remarkable thing about the Ohio Rights Group is we are human power. Everything we have done so far is based on human power. The 2,000+. I was looking last night, and it's actually 3,000 to 5,000 in terms of the volunteers that are coming to us. And our remarkable network, I think probably in terms of the leadership for these counties, maybe 100 people are involved in that. Again, this is volunteer. And so I think the remarkable thing is that what we're doing is very organic and is very much driven by human power. There are certain elements that have to be paid for because you have to have quality control. So if people really believe in what we're doing and want to see this happen in Ohio, they need to step up not only with their human power, we want that and value that and treasure that, but they also need to step up with their monetary power, because that's going to help us do some of the work that requires the quality control to get it on the ballot.
Well, so people with Parkinson's disease, people with AIDS, people with suffering with anxiety and depression, they're all people, and they are all the ones that are affected and impacted by the use of medical marijuana. It can certainly be used for medicinal purposes and help others. So if you'd like to get involved, by all means, please contact them. And we're glad you had an opportunity to see more about this issue.
Definitely at www.ohiorightsgroup.org.
Right.
All right. Go to the website, find out more information about this very important issue and about getting it on the ballot. So we'd like to thank both of you for being a part of the program. It's been very informative.
Thank you.
And we wish you the best.
Well, thank you so much for inviting us.
All right, thank you. And we'll be right back after these words.